Okay, good morning everyone. So my name is Yuliati.
And is your Yeni
So today we are going to deliver our analysis about the news from Yuliati and Yeni with title Ramadan Blessing Money Opportunities.
So we continue with the first question, the title or headlines. So is it interesting and arouse the reader curiosity, and does it reflect the content of the news without being too long?
Okay, so we're going to answer the question with combine two answers in only one. The answer is yes. This news interesting to read because the title put the word takjil so that it can make the reader imagination as if they are going to war only for takjil. As the explanation, we are highlighting the word war here, so that make it feels like the reader can use their imagination to imagine this word.
So the next is lead, news opener. What type of lead is used? Narrative, descriptive, quotes, or question? So is it lead interesting enough to make the reader continue reading?
So this news of field is used description text because from the first paragraph start with definition about Ramadan and then the meaning of what takjil is. Already we read that the news is using descriptive text because the transition between Ramadan and the definition is already defined what the descriptive text is.
Okay, the next is not graph or main paragraphs. Does a not graph explain the purpose or main focus of the feature news? How is not graph related to the lead?
Okay, so the answer is this news focus on the feature news because in the fourth paragraph the news mentioned about takjil phenomenon, which is related to the title.
So the next is about content development or body. Does the news have the strong storytelling elements, or how are description calls fact used in the story development? Is there supporting data or information that strengthens the content of the news?
So here the news uses strong storytelling elements because use element of the news text and descriptive text that start from introduction and others element. Not only that, it's also mentioned the name of place and when is the time to hunting the takjil, so it can be the factor whereas the paragraph can be a strong storytelling line elements that includes from the first is introduction until the conclusion and where exactly the time and the place to war the takjil.
So the next is structure and storylines. Is the storyline coherent and easy to follow? How are the transitions between the paragraphs of the news?
Okay, the news is really current and easy to follow because it uses sequential flow from the first paragraph until the last paragraph and using the transition sentence like although but just it only one paragraph use it.
So the next is style of the news. Is a language used descriptive and able to build and reader imagination? And is there any use of figurative language or creative writing?
And the news can make the reader imagination because use descriptive text so that buyer or customer or reader not necessarily need to go to the place. And the news use creative writing techniques. So here I already mentioned that the reader can get the information without even being there. I mean, like the news already mentioned the place, what is they sell, and then all of the menu that exists in the canteen.
Next, so the next is source and page. Page number 6. Are the source of information credible and relevant? Are the quotes used to strengthen the story?
Yes, the news. We're not answering yes here because the news is not contain source and quotes.
So the last question is conclusion or ending of the news. So does the story close with a strong conclusion? Does the ending leave an emotional impact or deep thought for the reader?
Conclusion or ending in the news is not strong conclusion. Keep the reader suggestion. It's like want to experience your favorite meal. Prepare your passion and strongly to avoid running out the line, for example. So from that, give the suggestion to reader is feel it more like the reader have to decide by their own how the ending they want. I think that's all for me, and the next news is will be delivered by Yeni.
So the next news is news from the World Business Data and Yeni Yuliati. The title of the news is "For Tactile, the phenomenon of long lines for modern fabrics."
Okay, so for the first question is it interesting and arouses the reader's curiosity, and does it reflect the content of the news without being told?
So our group discussed about this. The title is interesting to reader because the title makes the reader curiosity to read news like Ramadan blessing, money opportunities. So this content of the news not because it is more focused on describing Gaburi.
Okay, the next question is what type of lead use? Is it narrative, descriptive, quote, or question? And is the lead interesting enough to make the reader continue reading?
So our group find the type of the lead is used in the question because the form start paragraph use question to get intention to readers to read about the news, of course.
Okay, next we talk about not graph or main paragraph. The question is the not graph explain the purpose or main focus of the future news, and how is the not graph related to the lead?
So we find the main paragraph in the news not graph explain the purpose or main focus of the feature news, and it is also not related to lead, which talk about money opportunities during Ramadan. Instead, that only talk about how many kinds food that sold during Ramadan.
Okay, next we talk about content development or body. The question is, does the news have a strong storyline element? How the present description, quotes, and facts used in the story development? And is there supporting data or information that strengthen the content of the news?
So after the analysis with content development or body in the news is not used strong storytelling elements because from the first paragraph and next not focus only one topic that news not description or quote and fact used in strong development. But this news include the data which take from the spread place in Jalan Ibn Haryono Sungai Durian, so so that's can improve that, but it says news include the wisdom from this spread place.
Okay, and then next we talk about structure and storyline. So the question is, are the source of information credible and relevant? And are quotes are used to in the story?
So based on the analysis of the news, our group find the structure and storytelling in news easy to follow for reader understanding because the flow very light and very simple sentence. News transition between paragraph which is however to contact between paragraph 2 and paragraph next is.
So next number 6 we talk about source and quotes. The question is, are the source of information credible and relevant? And are quotes used to strengthen the story?
So based on the analysis and the structure, content, and the paragraph, the first paragraph, so we find the source and quotes in news is not habit and did not contain about credible and irrelevant information.
And number 7 is we talk about style. The question is the language used descriptive and able to build the reader's imagination? And is there any use of figurative language or creative writing technique?
So our group think that style in the news is nothing is not using descriptive and use the figurative or creative to build reader imagination after they read the news.
And the last is we're going to talk about conclusion and the ending. The question is, does the story close with a strong conclusion? And does the ending leave an emotional impact or deep thought for the reader.
So our group think that based on the analysis from the first paragraph, second, next, and conclusion, we found conclusion or ending in use. The reader to create their own conclusion or ending.
And that's all from our group. Good morning and thank you.